Are they joking or they being serious? No, they should be joking, right? Crazy stuff going through the mind of young ones. So crazy, man. Sometimes when I listen to them when they talk, I get so worried. I get so disturbed. I begin to imagine, where did they get these things from? How did it creep into their mind and their head? Who told them? But then, it is what it is. It is what it is. And we just have to try our best to get these things, straightened. And the only way we can do it is probably just discussing, talking about it, just like I'm doing right now, and encouraging them to see it from the light of reality and see whatever it is that is going wrong in their true color, knowing the effects, knowing the benefits, knowing the amount or the magnitude of confusion that will bring in the relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, it is another day. It is another wonderful day, I must say. And today I'll be addressing one or two misconceptions taking a toll in the mind of the young ones. And funny enough, even in the mind of some married couples. I discovered that one of the misconceptions in relationship is that masturbation is for singles. You see, masturbation is dirty, it is dangerous, it is completely a no-no. I'm not cheating on my partner when I do that, so there's nothing bad about it. It's me by myself. It is a dirty misconception and should be dealt with. It is not right, and it cannot be right, dude. It is not. So let's deal with this matter once and for all. Well, the funny thing is that it is as wild as fire in the heart and the mind of so many people today. So let's go deep into this. There is no way you can justify masturbation. Listen, it is the thing of the mind. And then for you to be able to find out for yourself if it is really right to keep doing that, you feel dirty the moment you finish it. Before you do it, you battle with it and bored. Some of the things that we say before we get into the act. But the thing is that it is wrong. Now, the thing about relationship is that before you go into a relationship, there is a need for you to do a background check. A background check of yourself as an individual. A background check of your partner. It is important that every relationship starts on a very clean, sound, and solid foundation. By that I mean that you come into a relationship open. You come into a relationship without any iota of secrecy. You come into a relationship with everything clean, every truth, every secrecy revealed to your partner. She should love you or accept you for who you are. You should be able to accept your partner for who he is. Now, the truth is that when you come into a relationship with something you are hiding without revealing it to your partner, it doesn't last long, because when you get into that relationship, eventually it is a relationship already built on deceit. And if at the progress of time it reveals to self that you have hidden a certain thing from your partner, what it amounts to is distrust. And when trust is broken, sometimes it's difficult to build back because you earn trust. When you have earned trust from your partner, it carries you all through the relationship because it makes it easier for your partner to be able to vouch for you. It makes it easier for your partner to be able to depend on you. It makes it easier for your partner to, give you all without exception. And so it is important, just like every other issue needs to be reviewed on the altar or on the foundation of every relationship. It is important that when anyone, be it the lady or the gentleman going into a relationship, to reveal every secrecy to your partner Let them know that you are going through A, or you're going through B, or you're going through C, and that you are revealing to them because you want to trust them and you want them to trust you. There's nobody who comes into relationship as a perfect individual. So we all have our strength, we all have our weaknesses. And so when we come into a relationship, we come into it trusting that your weaknesses should find strength in your partner. When we're talking about the issue of masturbation, let us look at it as one of the dangers that have the capacity to ruin a relationship. And I'll tell you the different ways and at different levels where this particular issue can ruin your relationship. So, but the most important thing is that when you're coming into a relationship, to disclose everything to your partner. Why you have to disclose this is because it is a weakness, you understand? And it is important that this particular weakness is trashed out and dealt with. Your ability to open up only signify that you're willing to let go of it. And so it's simply like someone who is in a deep hole. It is difficult for you to get yourself out. But when you have somebody up there who is extending a hand to pull you out, it becomes easier. That is the way it works. And so you disclosing it to your partner, having an open mind to it, willing to, go through, the process of healing with the help of your partner gives you edge over that particular situation. And so it is important that, as every other issues which are weaknesses before relationship, masturbation, if it is an issue in your life, should be also dealt with. And so you as a lady, you as a young one who is going to a relationship, do not go into a relationship with the misconception that getting a wife for myself deals with that matter. No. The first thing you have to do is dealing with it before you get into that relationship. It is a thing of the mind. It is something that you have to deliberately want to get rid of. Because like an addiction, when you are addicted to it, it doesn't go off easily. But sometimes, or most of the time, addiction can be dealt with your partner, working it out with you. It can be resolved. One of the issues with masturbation is that when you go into a relationship with the misconception that when you get married, the issue of masturbation will be dealt with, is the fact that we have seen situations whereby people get married, but when the reality of relationship begins to reveal itself, you find that you go back to it. And then what you eventually succeed in doing is to open a portal for the enemy, which is the devil, to come into your family, into your relationship, and create havoc. The big deal about that is that particular attitude would weaken the sexual satisfaction that you get in a relationship. It becomes very difficult for you to be satisfied sexually and also satisfy your partner. At the slightest misunderstanding, you just ignore your partner simply because you feel, I don't need you, I can help myself. You resolve to self-help simply because you feel that after all, you're not cheating on her. You can get satisfaction and then go back to bed, isolating your partner. So one of the negative effects of that misconception is that it leads to dissatisfaction sexually in every relationship. The second thing is that when your partner eventually discover that you are into this and there was no pure disclosure of this before going into a relationship, there is that distrust that is built. And then when you begin to create a scenario where your partner can no longer trust you, the relationship at that point is already having a crack. And so believing in you and trusting you as her partner or as his partner becomes a problem. The next thing that runs through the mind of the person is that who knows what else he or she have not revealed to me. And that is why we advise that everything that you are going through, every challenge, every situation, every weaknesses that you are going through as a young lady, as a young man, it is important that at the phase of relationship, relating with your partner, that you open up to him, that you open up to her, so that the person would know exactly what he or she is going into. So that if it is someone who loves you and cares about you, what they do at that point in time is to help you get out of it, because your ability to reveal your weaknesses, your challenges, and some of the issues that you might be going through as an individual signify that you are willing to trust the person with that commitment. You're willing to work it out with the person. You're willing to get help. And then what happens is that you, at the end of it, what you get is a sound relationship. The woman has a way of addressing issues. Some people ask you the question, what if I am in a relationship? I now discovered after marriage that my husband is masturbating, or my wife is masturbating. What do I do? Do I feel played, or do I feel trapped? These feelings do exist. Feeling betrayed, feeling trapped, feeling lied to. But come to look at it, that is not the solution at this point in time in a relationship. I will look at it from the angle of a situation whereby you as a lady eventually, discover that your husband is masturbating, and prior to relationship or at the courting stage of your relationship, he did not disclose that to you. And then unfortunately, you discover that doing the stuff, what should you do? Do you walk out of the relationship? Well, it's really a difficult situation at this point, because you just find out. When you just find out in this situation, you'll be heartbroken. But I would not advise you to walk out of the relationship because of the situation, but rather you talk about it. And that is where the skills of communication comes into play. Now, when I mean communication, there are different approaches to communicating to your partner regarding this particular issue. And that is why you must be, that is where you play, that is where femininity works perfectly. Because at this point in time, you just discovered that your husband is masturbating. Remember that one of the traits of men is that they always defend themselves. The moment you catch them in an act, the first thing that you see from them is defense, because men have this ego, and then they wouldn't want to see you drag them. No matter what, no matter the situation, they will not take that, because of that egoistic tendency that it's always there in them. And so they want to first and foremost defend themselves. And the defense will come in this aspect. Did you see me with any lady? I feel bored. You were ignoring me. You were doing that. They must always find a way to, justify that particular act. But my advice as a lady is that when you see that situation, is you calm down, right? You calm down. It is not something that is easily absorbed, but then you need to calm down. When you calm down, take your time, and then allow that femininity that is associated with woman play its role. That femininity is the strength needed to cure the weakness you have just identified. Because the only way you can solve a problem that is a weakness in a relationship is the strength that is found in the other partner. That's how it works. You cannot cure weakness with weakness. You understand? So what you do at that point in time is, let me try to play it out. Sweetheart, you know I love you. You know, when I saw you, I chose you. You know I care about you, and I will do everything to keep you by my side. No matter the challenges you're going through, I just want you to know that I have your back, and that I will always be there and willing to walk with you. Give him a peck. Sweetheart, I noticed something I feel is a challenge, and I'm willing to walk with you so that we will get out of this situation. I noticed this, I noticed that. This is the effect it has on me, and this is how I feel about it. It doesn't undermine my love for you. It only calls my attention to my role and responsibility to help you out in this situation. And I'll be happy, sweetheart, if you allow me. Walk with you so that we get out of this situation. Knowing by my love for you is not affected. Knowing that my love for you is intact, and I so much care about you. And then you begin to address the issue. I bet you this femininity aspect of a woman breaks every man to his core and bring him down to his knee. But when you go addressing him in a nagging, offensive way, he will take defense. And then he will shield himself. You will not get access to him again, and it becomes difficult for you to solve the problem. That of this has always been one of the challenges or one of the issues that some of the young married women find difficult to address. They feel that because we are now together in this relationship, they can approach you and talk to you in a firm, trying to kind of establish their feeling. You don't get through a man in that way. Rather, you just toughen him up, and then you lose everything at the end of it. So to me, addressing that particular issue, rather than walking away, is to be the woman that you are, the mother that you are. Bring that loving aspect of you, that caring aspect of you, that female touch of you, tenderness, that tender aspect of you. Let it rub off him, and then he will submit to you, helping him walk through it. And so it's not going to be a long video, it's a short one. So the aspect of believing that, one, masturbation is only associated to the young ones that are not married and is allowed, is wrong. It is a trap. It is demonic, and it robs you of so much without you knowing that it does. It keeps you in a vulnerable state. And as a married man, it is important for you to know your place. As a head of the family, you are called to be the priest of your family. And being a priest over your family takes a lot from you. Aside from the sacrifices you make to be able to ensure that their needs are met, it is not just their physical need that you are called to make or meet in that relationship, also their spiritual needs. And so when, as a priest in your family, as an overseer, as a head of the family, you become loose in that aspect of masturbation, What you eventually have succeeded in doing is to open a portal for the enemy to come and destroy your family. Because what it does is it gets your mind dirty and makes you feel filthy and impure to even pray. It is very difficult as a man. The moment you are involved in masturbation to pray, you will find it difficult to, carry out spiritual responsibility as a Christian. And even when you want to, you find it very, very, very challenging. You find yourself dirty to even pick up the Bible. You find yourself unworthy to even pray to God, because the God you're worshiping is holy. The Bible says that God is spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in truth and in spirit. You cannot come to God with an unclean heart. You cannot come to God with a filthy mind. And that is why when you commit such, it becomes difficult for you to pray. It becomes difficult for you to study your Bible. So how then would you be able to carry out your priestly obligation over your family? So when you become vulnerable to masturbation, you open the door, you open the portal for the enemy to threaten and disbalance your family foundations, bringing up issues, sickness, things, trouble, sickness. It can erode every aspect of. In fact, it comes in and destroy the relationship between you and your wife, between you and your children, in your business. There is nothing that will not be affected. I know it may sound strange to some persons, but that is the truth. I want the married men who are listening to this to drop a comment if you understand, if they relate to what I'm saying. Because the truth is that when you fail in your priestly responsibility as a man, you have failed completely. It is not all about the physical thing you bring to the table. It is also the spiritual thing. You are the spiritual head of your family, and then you must be able to defend them both physically and spiritually. That is what you're called upon to do. In fact, the first line of defense that must be solid enough to keep your family firm is your spiritual defense, even before the physical defense. The physical defense is when your economy is strong, you'll be able to provide their needs, you'll be able to provide shelter over them, you'll be able to keep them safe from every form of external aggression that might, threaten their existence in your home. Whether it's coming from the family or your wife's family or from outsiders, you are always there to defend your family. That is what you do. But beyond that is the spiritual defense. The spiritual defense is when you engage as a priest and head over your family, spiritual head over your family. You connect to the Father to be able to shield your home against every challenging altars over your family. Because the power of the man is in his deep relationship with God. And that is why when you have that solid relationship with God, you are able to make pronouncement over your family and it stands. You are able to make declaration and it stands. You are able to prophesy over your children and it works. But when you have allowed yourself to be trapped by negative influences or lifestyle like masturbation, I guarantee that particular aspect of your life will be eroded. You would not have the strength to be able to carry out that priestly responsibility over your family. And so these are some of the implications and negative influences that masturbation pornography, and the rest of it could have over your life as a Christian and as head over your family. You must be able to do or carry out your responsibilities in you. And so, please, I want us to bury this misconception that when you get married, you'll be able to overcome masturbation. No. Rather, as a young man, as one who is planning to get into a relationship, serious relationship, to say that you must be able to deal with these challenges even before you get into that, to get to the point of settling down with a lady you love. Because when you're able to deal with it and overcome it, you're able to have an edge even before the relationship starts. In my next video, I will be discussing on some of the misconceptions that we get in a relationship. Masturbation is spiritual. For those of you who want to see it in that aspect, it is true. And so deliverance must occur, and then there will be follow-up. And then when you get into a relationship, it is important that you open up to your partner, so that even if you are in the process of working it out, your partner, seeing you the way you are and accepting you, will now be willing to walk it through with you. Because at that point in time, he or she will begin to look out for you in that aspect and be able to offer the help that you could at any point in time. And so, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, my colleagues, loved ones out there, please, I might not be the best in this, but I speak out of experience, and I am saying, please, we need to rise to the occasion as young men to accepting our role in a relationship, which is to being a priest over our home. We need to come to a point of accepting that we have a role to play, and that role is a noble role. That role is a calling. That role is spiritual. That role is important. Being a priest over your home and keeping that particular gate well closed and shielding your family against any spiritual inflow that is negative, that is destructive, and that is not designed by God. The hierarchy is Christ over you as a man, you over your family. You draw strength from God. Your family draws strength from you. When you get disconnected from where the source of the strength is, your family has nowhere to draw strength from. What it means is that that channel is open. The Bible said that the devil is like a roaring lion looking for whom to destroy. He is not just looking for whom, but he's also interested in families to destroy. And so, when you leave your home open, knowing that it has been stated and it is clear that there are destructive elements within the environment that are just looking for an unlocked home to vandalize. Knowing and having that awareness, you still left your door open. I don't think there's any other person you should pass the blame to when the destruction eventually happens. Same with your relationship, same with your marriage.